So anyway, I get a lot of questions about my rack and my gear that I use. I've been going kind of like back to the rack lately. So and as you've probably noticed, it's growing. I mean, I've had all kinds of stuff in the past, and I'm constantly changing out gear and whatnot. So I don't want to mislead you or anything, but two very special pieces in this rig right now are what I'm running, which is Jim Tyler's two Yamaha D1500 delays that I acquired from James Tyler. It was in his rack years ago, his guitar rack, and he was kind enough to allow me to purchase these from him. Thank you. And they've both been maintained really well. He's had them serviced and everything, so everything's they operate perfectly. I mean, they're heavy, but the sound is amazing. So I have these on left and right delay with a slight bit of modulation. I'm running this is my outboard rack, so I'm running an SRV 2000 reverb, the old school reverb. Dan Huff used it a lot, and with Giant. My gear, my rigs in the past have been pretty much what Dan Huff used for a long time. I've had a number of different racks. This is a scaled down version of it. So I'm just kind of, going back to the old school. But that's my inspiration, was my inspiration. It still is. Those sounds, that Dan makes and made, and all of those hit records. So, but for session work, it gets kind of, it's a lot to carry around. So I have it split up between two pieces here, and I have another setup. But so I'm using the old tried and true Yamaha SPX 92, which I have set for a pitch shift right now, a little harmonizer, and I use everything in the SPX 90. I mean, reverb, delay, I'll use it all. And on my preamp side, I'm running the Synergy. I've got the new, picked up the new Synergy Syn 2 rack mount module unit, which is housed, which has the Engel Powerball module I'm using on lead tones in a lot of my videos. And then the Steve Fryette of Fryette Amplification, he designed this 2CP, which is made after the Mesa Boogie 2C Plus, which he had done a lot of work on in the 80s in the past. I mean, he knows everything about Mesa Boogie inside and out and everything else. So I use that for cleans a lot. The distortion is incredible. I've barely even tapped into that part yet. So yeah, it's lead, overdrive, and cleans here. I'm using a Roland Dimension D style. It's a clone. It's pretty good. I'm using the CAD compressor. I usually use a DBX 160A compressor, or 160, the single rack unit. But right now I'm using the CAD Champ. It's a 2-channel compressor. It also has like volume swell effects that you can push into the compressor, so that it just automatically auto swells on the compression. So that's what I'm running. And I've got the Audio Arts parametric equalizer, which I'm not using right now at the moment. It's not in line. And 80A MP1, the old, trusted 80A MP1. I mean, you probably all know what that's about. Heavy tones, Paul Gilbert sounds to Skid Row. The clean sounds are stellar. Great stereo unit. The Art IEQ Smart Curve, I've used this for a number of years. I saw one in Dan Huff's rack back in the day when he was touring with Giant, and he was getting amazing tones out of it. And it's almost like a cabinet thumping, shaping tonal equalizer. It's incredible. You can layer EQ curves on it, and it will intelligently create its own curves. It's just crazy. And it used to come, it had a monitor, a huge monitor that came with it, it was nuts, that Dan also had in his rig, and it was just too heavy to carry around. But it has a video output. You can plug it into anything that takes a video input, you can use and run it with that. And finally, I've got the Myasnikov Super Lead preamplifier, which is based on Soldano. It kind of sounds like a Soldano Bogner modified Marshall. It's a crazy preamp. That's not hooked up right now, but yeah, it's made by Myasnikov. in Russia, and a great guy, great company, builds solid products, and I'm sure you've seen them all over the internet. So that's what I'm running right now, and oh yeah, I'm also running the 2 Notes Cab M Plus for speaker simulation and power amp simulation.